Everyone, like I said, my name is Jena Apgar, and I came out of high school I went straight into the military as an intel analyst with a top secret clearance, and that basically just meant I was really good at taking in extremely large amounts of information and spitting them out to people who knew what they needed to do with it. After that, I did interior design and mostly ended up getting hired to do marketing because people in interior design do not know how to sell or market. They know how to make things beautiful. They know how to lay it out. Eventually, I just started having babies, and then one day, one of the top architects in the United States who builds homes that I've gotten on Homes of the Rich decided they needed some social media management. I was like, I got this. But it gets a little complicated because it's more than that. So a lot of you are in the room. I heard a lot of startups, and we have some software, and you might need a marketing plan if you're launching those new businesses. If you're launching any kind of business, you need some kind of strategy to move forward. If you think a USP is the name of a major male distributor in brown shorts, you need a marketing plan. If you spend a large amount of money on advertising with zero return, more than likely the reason is because you did not have a marketing plan. And if you think a client avatar is the next blue face of your company, this is a good place to be. If your wife keeps telling you that you're the man without a plan because you're burning through that cash, a marketing plan is the key that you are missing. Now, as I told you, I had all that nice little background, and I did social media for this guy who has beautiful homes. And that was okay, and I thought that he knew what he needed. I gave him what he asked for, he split up, and it caused a lot of problems because as a social media manager, my only job is to provide social media across the different platforms, and that's it. He handled all the rest, except he didn't handle it. He hired a lady who wrote blogs, except she had no blog experience. She didn't know how to use WordPress. She didn't understand what MailChimp does. She didn't know that for SEO, you need more than 400 words, or even what a headline was and what the purpose of it in a blog was as it related to SEO. It ended up crashing my wonderfully fast computer, and it took me a lot of time to figure out what she was doing wrong. And they made no money off their efforts in social media and content advertising because they didn't know how it worked together, because they didn't have a marketing plan. They didn't understand what people wanted. They didn't understand why people came to a blog or came to social media. And it left me very, very frustrated. It left them very frustrated. That's not a good place to be. So what I'm going to do for you is everyone in front of them has a little mini worksheet that I've put together. Write on it, take notes, take it home, replicate it in a Word document because you're going to need the information several times over, in some case for every single product and offering you have. We'll be covering a client avatar first if you want to start on that side of the sheet, and then we're going to move to your unique selling proposition, a product market fit study, and then I'm going to show you how to kind of put it together and lay out a path for your product and services. If I go too fast, let me know. This is normally a much longer workshop, and I spend hours with my clients going through this. There we go. So what is a client avatar, and why do you need one? I promise you it's not just the lady in blue. Basically, a client avatar is you're just breaking down and you're defining exactly who your client is. Now, the problem I find with most of my companies that I'm working with is they're like, oh, my demographic is, moms between 25 and 35 in, I don't know, the Texas area. That's really not specific enough. You need to know exactly, seriously, you fill out a client avatar. I want to know exactly how old you are. I want to know exactly what your job title is, exactly where you live, what you do, what your hobbies are, what your magazines that you're reading, the books you're reading. I want to know it all. And if you're operating without a client avatar, this is where you're going to find that you are throwing good money after bad. If you know who your client avatar is, you can start to create a very specific ad campaign that reaches to the heart of your very specific client. You're thinking, well, if I make it too specific, I'm only selling to one person and I need to sell to 1,000 people. That client is not the only one like them. There's going to be more of them out there. You need to define exactly your perfect client, the one that's going to buy and spend and act the way you want to work in business, and you need to reach to their heart. There are 3 ways to go about building your client avatar, and it matters, a little bit how you got here. The first way is if you were at one point your client that you're trying to reach, you can fill it out from your own perspective, and you can zip right through it, and it'll be really easy. The second way, and the hardest way, is to do lots and lots and lots of research to break down and get into the heart of your clients. And if you're a brand new startup and you've never sold a product in your life, this might be the only avenue and choice for you. My very, very favorite way, maybe because I live in Dallas and we have lots of wonderful restaurants, is to take one of your best clients out to lunch, take them to breakfast, take them out for drinks, and say, in return for that nice dinner, all I want you to do is fill this out for me. Let me walk you through it, fill in the blanks, and I will benefit, you will benefit, and you'll get some great networking time in front of a great client. The very first thing you need to do is name your customer. I mean, like literally a name. Pick the year. How old is your client? When were they born? What was the most popular name that year? It's probably like Mike, John. Those seem to be popular names. Give it a descriptive term. Entrepreneurial Mike. Whichever it is, stay-at-home mom Molly. Physically, actually give them a name. Male or female, whatever they might associate with, define who you are, because how you advertise to men is very different to how you advertise for women. For those that work in graphics, maybe you don't know, I know it from an interior design standpoint, something as simple as the color red can be different for men and women. A female is going to prefer a purple-based red, whereas men prefer an orange-based red. And something as simple as that can help you start getting your graphics and your ad copy and all this marketed down to male or female. How old are they? What generation are they from? And this all matters too. I'm technically a millennial, but if you advertise to me like a millennial in the same way that you're trying to reach my millennial baby sister who's 20 or my daughter who's 15, it's going to be horrific because we have different values. We like different things. We associate with different music. Single, married, living together, complicated, divorcing, best friends with benefits. What kind of relationship are they in? What kind of emotional state are they in? What area are they in life? Do they have kids? Do they have 4 kids, 8 kids, toddlers, babies, teenagers? These things matter because it changes, again, where they are in life and the problems that they're dealing with. A parent who's dealing with a teenager has different problems and pain points than someone who's dealing with an infant new baby at home. Can you see everything? Oh, good. Okay. Moving on to how they make their money. Are they blue or white collar? Do they have a college education? Are they working in plumbing? Again, how you speak to a plumber is going to be different than how you talk to the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. What is their yearly salary? Do they have savings? What do they value in their money? How do they like to spend it? Here's one that becomes a little bit more complicated. Are they emotional or logical? How do they think? Most artists, creative types, are going to think more emotionally. About 10% of the population, though, is going to be very extremely logical. Those are going to be like your engineer types, and they're going to want to see numbers and graphs, or the emotional person is going to want to see that cute puppy. Content or frustrated. Are they doing yoga and very calm? Are they just a very frustrated type that goes stomping around? Introverted or extroverted? Do they love to be around people? Do they like to be to themselves and hide with a good book? Are they happy or sad? These are like really nice. I've tried to break it down very simple. So when you have someone filling it out, they're just zipping down the line and they're just circling. Which one do they feel the best, A or B? What are their goals and dreams for their life? Now, obviously, this is a much more complicated question, and I've built out 20-page questionnaires to break down this very question. You need to know what their end goal is. Where do they want to be? Where do they want to be in 1 year? Where do they want to be in 5 years? Where do they want to be when they retire? Do they want to retire at 30? Are they looking to make the next, $1 million every month? Or are they just looking to chill and put together a nice savings, scrape away $500 a month to have a nice retirement, spend their life on cruise ships? You laugh. It's a good aim. Now, getting into the nitty-gritty, because the nitty-gritty is where you're going to start saving yourself, especially in digital ad marketing budgets. I want to know everything about their hobbies, about their interest. Don't just tell me that they like to go swimming. What level are they a swimmer? Do they just do it recreationally? Do they follow it a little bit more? Do they know who Michael Phelps is? Or are they really into swimming and they can tell you the entire swim team for the United States Olympics in 2016? Is it Olympic year? I can't keep track of those. What books are they reading? What books are they reading? Not only will it help you with their activities and helping to get them down on advertising dollars, but it's also going to tell you what they value. Where do they spend their money? What motivates them? What brings them to the table? What do they like to eat? That sounds like a really simple question. On Facebook advertising, you can target people who like PB&J. So, you're thinking well, I have a software company. What do I care? What if your ad copy, I'm sorry, not your ad copy, but your creative is a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with a software guy or whoever's buying your software eating that sandwich? And it seems really dumb and really stupid until you put it up on Facebook and you're like, it doesn't matter because I can just put $5 behind it. And it works. And you're like, dude. Who do they follow for information? This kind of goes back to more what I do on the digital marketing side. But if you know exactly who they follow, when you're putting together your ad, you can select, I want to advertise to people who follow Aaron. I want his demographics to start coming over to me. You can even pick up your competitors and market to their customers. Where do they hang out in person and online? This is going to help you for your total strategy. What if your client doesn't hang out online? What if they just like to go to events in person, hang out on cruise ships, go to play the baseball league all day? If they hang out online, do they hang out on Facebook? Or are they like my 15-year-old daughter who's never touches it? They're just on Instagram or Twitter. Where do they get their daily news from? Are they getting it from the newspaper? Are they watching Fox News? Someone who's getting their information from Fox News is probably likely to be very, very different than someone watching MSNBC. And do they love coffee, dogs, pink, camo, hunting, whatever? The tiniest little details you think don't matter because you're building a marketing strategy for software or for an e-commerce site. But those little details can make the difference in grabbing their attention and interrupting their experience where they are. There we go. So pain points. Pain points is going to be where you really get their attention. You've got the picture on your advertisement that stops them. You've got a great headline, but that headline needs to fix a pain point. And that's just, what hurts them? What problems are they trying to solve? And so maybe you're very frustrated because you have a startup and you're not making any money and you've got a solid product and you're like, why can't I reach people? Maybe you have back problems. If somebody's back is hurting, that is a huge pain point, literally. If you could help somebody solve a pain point, you've got a customer. But you have to know what their pain points are before you can get them and reach them. The other thing I want you to know is their objections to the sell. You've created the avatar, you've got their pain point, and you know where they want to go with their dreams. What are their objections to the sell for you? Now, if you've got like a $20,000 product, it's going to cost too much will be the biggest one, and you've got to overcome that. But you cannot overcome the objection to the sell until you know the objections to the sell. Some of the common ones, is it cost too much? It's too complicated. I can't figure out that stuff. Oh, I'm too busy. I don't have time. My best friend said she used you and it was, it didn't work out so well. So when you know those, you can start crafting the perfect answers to each one of those and you can have them ready to go. Any questions on that real quick? Good to go? So the second step, if you want to flip your little piece of paper over, there's some basic information about your company, and the next one is going to be the statement of value or the unique selling proposition. This is going to be what makes you different from all the other companies out there, all the different options, and it is basically the start of a really great elevator pitch because it's short, simple, and to the point. This one little statement needs to excite even you, and if you cannot get excited about this tiny little statement that's so simple, then you are not going to be able to get your customers excited. You're going to need one for every single product or service you have. The customer here should be your client avatar that you just created, and it needs to be kind of created in a way that speaks to that client avatar. The statement of value is very similar, so if you look up the USP online, you'll get a lot of information. A statement of value just kind of brings it back around to the client. So many times when I see people, they're like, yeah, I've got a USP. They bring it, it's all about the product. It's all about their service. You need to make it about the customer. The customer doesn't care 2 bits about your product or service. They care about them and what it can solve for them. So I have 2 up here as an example. You have the one that I've kind of spelled out for you on the piece of paper, and you're just taking your product name, like literally your product name, enables, insert that customer, and you can be broad-based. You don't have to say, Entrepreneurial Mike. You can also say teachers in general if you sell a product to elementary teachers. To experience, to receive, to learn, pick your verbs here, and explain what it is. And it should be really simple, extremely specific. The digital marketing services for brand.blog enables small business to experience 200% raise in profits in the first 90 days. Something that's measurable, something that's exciting, and something that's specific that you don't have to explain it. If you have to explain it, you've already messed it up. There's other scripts out there you can Google online. You can get more complicated, but at the end, it should be one sentence. One short, sweet, uncomplicated sentence that a 7th grader can understand because we like to keep it stupid. Moving on to product market fit. Product market fit, this one's going to help you, and I've kind of shortened it up there on your worksheet. When a lot of my small businesses start advertising, they want to tell me about their products. I've got a box. It's 18 inches by 18 inches, 36 inches high. It's made of cardboard that's really strong, and that's it. You need to take it up a notch. You need to tell me how I feel before and after your product. You need to tell me my average day. How is my average day going to change before I have your product and after I have your product? And at the highest level, you need to change my status. At some level, your product can change my status in life. One of my recent clients is a lawn mowing company. Now, you think about status before, if my husband's outside mowing the lawn, he's the middle-class schmuck in the burbs, outside mowing his lawn at 8 in the morning, sweating and irritated and probably done for the day, and he's going to veg out, and his wife is going to be irritated. Once he hires that lawn service, this is not a glamorous thing. Lots of people hire a lawn service, but you've now changed his status. He's the guy inside. He can afford to hire you. He's got his own business. He's successful, and now he gets to read his paper, mosey on up at 10 in the morning, and drink his coffee while somebody else goes and handles that business. Change his status. They're telling me to hurry up, so I'm going to rush through. Now, with all this information, this is probably the most important part, and it's the most complicated because there's so many different ways to do it. So I'll zip through. Once you know who your client is, once you've defined what it is you can do for your client, I want you to take them down a set journey. Now, a salesperson might call this like a sales funnel, and that seems complicated, and you're like, I don't want to be salesy. It's not about being salesy. It's about having a system in place that each step to getting the client from getting to know you because they don't know you exist, but then walking them down all the way to the point where they are your brand cheerleader, that they're getting referrals. And then once you have that set up, you need to take them down a set journey. Once you know who your client is, once you've defined what it is you can do for your client, I want you to take them down a set journey. Now, a salesperson might call this like a sales funnel, and that's seems complicated, and you're like, I don't want to be salesy. It's not about being salesy. It's about having a system in place that you each step to getting the client from getting to know you because they don't know you exist, but then walking them down all the way to the point where they are your brand cheerleader, that they're getting You don't want to start just by offering the biggest one. If you're a guy and you're trying to hit on somebody, you walk into a bar and you're like, would you like to sleep with me? They're going to be really upset. But somehow when we're selling our products, that's what we do. They don't even know who you are. They don't know your name, and you're going to ask them to jump in bed with you? No, you say, hey, can I buy you a drink? My name's Tom. You buy 5 minutes with them. That goes well, can I buy you another? Can I take you out to coffee? Can I get your number? And you take a slow journey. Think about your sales process in this way. You're going to start with that client avatar at the very beginning, and you're going to take them all the way down to how do you get that referral. The very first bubble is going to be, how can they find you? Are you going to do a Facebook advertisement? Are you going to meet them at a networking event? So we're going to go with ad. And that very next one, once they find you, is going to be, where do you send them? Are you sending them to a general page that's complicated? Or are you sending them to a squeeze page that's very specific? And inside, let's say we're going to send them to a blog page with great information that fixes a pain point. In that blog, we're going to have the very next step is we're going to advertise them to on our website, on our content. And we're going to ask them for that next step. Always be asking for the next step. We're going to get their email information. We're going to give them something free. That ad on that blog page is going to get their email. I'm going to give you something even better, something that, and I know it's free, but it adds real value. It's not cheap. But in return, you're going to give me that email address, and I'm going to start sending you emails. But I'm also going to thank you, and then I'm going to show you what I have to offer, but it's going to be a baby offer. Just something to get you to know me. Let's get to know each other. Let me see what kind of work you offer. Maybe they take it, maybe you don't, but now you have their email address, and you can reach them directly in their inbox any day you want, anytime you have something to sell. Or add value. Always be adding value. Always be thanking them. I've learned this working with the Junior League of Dallas. Somebody needs to be thanked 7 times before they feel like they're really thanked. Once you've kind of given some email follow-up, you've let them know who you are, you're constantly adding value, constantly. Make them another offer, then start selling your products. And if you notice the sales, I'm talking about sales, I'm way down here at the bottom already. I'm not offering to sell my big product right at the beginning. Throw in, this doesn't all have to be digital. Call them, mail them thank you letters. Find as many touch points that you can as humanly possible to reach out and connect with your clients and build relationships. Mow the lawn super good. If you get them to mow the lawn and you do a horrible job, they're not going to hire you to do the landscaping. But always be asking for that next level. But it's not going to be salesy because you're just asking for a little bit. If they get off the path, this is where advertising and other touch points can help you. Pixel your website, and when you pixel, you put a cookie on your website. You can advertise to only the people who are already interested. I'm getting the looks. That's my presentation. Does anyone have any questions? Dead silence. Start with one. Yeah. You can have multiple customer avatars, but most of my clients have 0. So start with one and advertise and work. How do you sell to that one? And then move it along. And how do you sell to the next one? Build it up. But absolutely, you're going to have more than one, and you should.